Theodore Roosevelt and the conservation of natural resources. Theodore Roosevelt was the nation's youngest president at the age of 42. He was born on October 27, 1858. In the Spanish-American War, as a lieutenant colonel with the U.S. Army, he notably led a charge up San Juan Hill, earning the title of War Hero. He was then elected governor of New York. After McKinley was assassinated, he went on to be president in 1901 and then again in 1904. In 1908, Roosevelt left office and went on a safari. He later died in 1919. But before he died, he did some pretty awesome stuff for the conservation of forests and animals. Roosevelt was always a wildlife enthusiast. He let everyone know it too, randomly bursting into important cabinet meetings to tell everyone of the birds he had just encountered outside. Along with his love of everything to do with nature, he also had a fondness for hunting. Because of his passions, Roosevelt saw a need to expand the reach of the federal government in order to protect the natural resources America had to offer. Ever since, and due to the Civil War, the United States had been going through its timber, mineral, and water resources like a house on fire. It depleted at such a rate that it was noticeable to Roosevelt and many conservationists. Many species were becoming endangered and going extinct because of unregulated hunting laws. And because of this, a year after assuming office, Roosevelt introduced plans for more efficient irrigation projects and established federal agencies to take care of the long-term availability of the nation's natural resources. A couple years later, Roosevelt established 5 national parks and 5 nationwide spread natural monuments such as the Grand Canyon. That's a ton of work. It was all worth it though because his efforts to protect natural resources were extremely successful. Things like forest reserves grew from around 43 million acres to 194 million acres in just a few short years nearing the end of Roosevelt's term. In his 7th annual message to Congress, President Roosevelt proposed a multitude of design plans to protect America's national resources. He believed that Americans take for granted how abundant and available resources are to them. He directly stated that we are prone to speak of the resources of this country as inexhaustible. This is not so. The mineral wealth of the country, the coal, iron, oil, gas, and the like, does not reproduce itself, and therefore it is certain to be exhausted. He also referred to the need for more efficient mining and farming, innovative irrigation projects, and the formulation of protected open spaces. He stated that the responsibility for these actions coming to be rested with the federal government, the only organization with enough power and means to make it happen. His opinion was that the constant purpose of the government in connection with the Reclamation Service has been to use the water resources of the public lands for the ultimate greatest good of the greatest number. In other words, to put upon the land permanent homemakers, to use and develop it for themselves and for their children and children's children. Roosevelt's actions helped save millions of wildlife acres. Because of that, look all around. The benefits of Roosevelt's projects are still around today. He was able to set up around 230 million acres of parks and many other public projects for the people. That's a lot of space to play. Today, many natural resources are far from draining completely. In the large scope of things, he helped us with the ability to maintain our natural resources. Look at the bison. They are a living example of now fully regulated hunting laws. Theodore Roosevelt not only conquered the charge of San Juan Hill, but also the battle of conserving America's natural resources.
Created using Powtoon.